What's up? What's up? What's up? What's going on? Come on in the room. Come on in the room. We about to get started, and like I said it in the emails, y'all. We get started on time here, but to have a little bit of grace, let's go ahead and do a couple of shout outs. If you are in the room, and by the way, guys, I'm going to look very small. A lot of the stuff that you're going to be seeing on this screen is going to be hard to read if you are on your mobile device. Now, that's all you got. That's all you got. But if you have your laptop somewhere near, go ahead and get on your laptop. Go ahead, get click on the link that's in the email, and try to watch this on your laptop. That way you can see everything. You don't miss anything. Let me know, for those who are joining in the room right now, let me know where you're joining from. I see you, Maria. I see you. What's going on? Okay. I see you, Taylor. What city? What city? Let me know where you're coming from. What city are you in? Atlanta is in the house. What's up, Grand Rapids? Okay. Oh, y'all all over the place, man. Miami's in the house. Y'all all over the place. All right, cool. Cool. I see you. I see you. Gerald, we got a brother in the house. What's going on? All right, I don't want to take too much time um, before we get started because I really value you guys' time. And by the way, if you hear my babies, if they come over here to the office, I can't stop. Y'all know how it is working from home. So please excuse that. But let's go ahead and get on into it. You are here at the Secrets to Making an Evolved Man, Crave You. And it is facilitated by yours truly. My name is Derek Jackson. We'll get a little bit more into who I am in just a second. But first off, let me just go over real quick what you will learn in this masterclass. All right, we're going to talk about what evolved men are. There's a concept I came up with. It's not some, designation from Webster's or anything like that. I'll talk about more why I came up with this term evolved men and why it's so necessary today a little bit later. But we're going to talk about that so you know what an evolved man is, how to recognize an evolved man early so that you won't waste time on the dating scene. What attracts an evolved man based on studies, based on feedback that I've gotten from thousands. What attracts an evolved man? Also, what repulses them? Because if we're going to talk about what attracts them, we got to talk about what repulses them. And of course, we don't want anybody being anything other than their authentic self in this. But, there's some characteristics that you can bring forward and some things that you probably do need to look like inward because you may not know that you have this characteristic or that's what's showing whenever you get on the dating scene. So we're going to talk about all of that. And we're also going to talk about long term, what makes an evolved man stay and fall in love. Stay in love and fall in love over and over and over again. Some of y'all already know how necessary that is for a long-term relationship. Now, again, I am a respecter of time. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I can appreciate you if you showed up, just curious about this, but let me go ahead and make sure that those of you who are in right now, and I see quite a few of you are piling on up in here, that you're in the right place, all right? So this is for you. Let me move this down a little bit. This is for you if you are dating and ready to finally receive better results in your dating experience. This is for you if you're currently evaluating someone or maybe several ones and wanting to make the best decision. If that's you, you're in the right place. This is for you if you are apprehensive about dating because of little to no faith in the current dating market. Some of y'all can relate to that, just a bit underwhelmed these days. All right. This is also for you if you're currently in a relationship and you're looking for ways to increase your evolved man's, I should have put that on here, but your evolved man's desire for you on a daily basis. If any of these apply to you, you are in the right place. All right. Now, who this is not for? This is not for women that just want somebody who makes six figures or more. I'm sorry. I'm not here to say anything's wrong with getting a guy like that. I'm not saying that you can't have that kind of standard for yourself. If you do, by all means, keep doing your thing. But if that's all that matters to you, and that's become wildly popular lately for some reason, this masterclass is unfortunately not for you. Don't want to waste your time. No love lost. Also, this is not for you if you want to change who you are just to get somebody. You don't even care. You just want a placeholder. You just want company. You want hairy legs. You want a heartbeat next to you. This ain't going to be for you because there's going to be a lot of qualifiers. There may be a need for you to continue being single right now in order to properly prepare and attract that evolved man. Like, this is for people who can be single. This is for people who can walk away if what they're currently entertaining is not measuring up. So if you're willing to do whatever it takes just to have somebody, this ain't quite the master class for you. Again, no love lost. There's some healing that you probably need, and I have some resources for that, but this ain't the resource. All right. Now, before we begin, let's go ahead and get some house rules in order. Prepare to take notes, guys. I talk fast. Yes, there's screenshot technology that is beautiful to use. I highly encourage that if that's, whatever tickles your fancy. But I don't use notes. I don't have like a script or anything like that. Everything that I'm going to discuss is things that I've been researching for years. So I pretty much have it up here, and there's going to be some things I give you that's not on the slide. Therefore, it's best to go ahead and take notes. We retain about, I think, 20 to 25% of what we hear whenever we don't take notes. And it jumps up 40+% whenever we do take notes. So definitely prepare to take notes. This ain't one of those master classes where you're going to get a whole lot of fluff and no information. You're just going to waste an hour and a half of your time, or however long we're here. If you know anything about how I get down, I jam pack these master classes with a ton of information, things that I've charged thousands of dollars in the past to be able to teach. I give away for free, but that doesn't take away from the value. So prepare to take notes, turn off all distractions. I've put mine on airplane mode, so hopefully it don't still go off. I'm looking at it now on airplane mode. It's probably gonna go dead on my phone. Turn off all distractions. Go ahead and make sure this is the only tab open. You owe it to yourself. If you got here, for the reasons that I talked about earlier, dating prospects, you're getting ready to let somebody in your life, or maybe they're already in your life, that can have a ton of influence on the way that your life goes. Like somebody who's going to be in charge of your heart, basically. Don't play with that. As you're learning, as you're gathering tools, as you are being equipped to better show up or to attract this person, like, just take it seriously. All I'm asking for is about an hour and a half, maybe even an hour. I don't know. We may be able to get out of here pretty quick. When I first did this masterclass, we got out of here in just under an hour. But turn off all distractions. Let's focus in. Let's just respect our own time, okay? Also, I get off on engaging. I'm looking at the comments right now. I get off on those who engage, so let's engage regularly. This ain't just me lecturing and just talking. Like, get your Twitter fingers ready. Talk. Y'all be commenting on social media all the time. Might as well comment here. Engage regularly. I want to hear from you guys while we are in here. Also, watch through to the very end. I have several bonuses for you guys, things that weren't explicitly detailed whenever we first just came in. Watch through to the very end. Do not miss the end, because there's some incredible, crazy bonuses that I'm going to tell you guys about. Now, if you're ready to begin, type ready in the chat. Okay? Type ready in the chat if you're ready to begin. Let me see if I can try to make these slides a little bigger, even as we are going in. I don't know. We're going to try, because I'm making sure I get ready. Let me make sure. All right, Clarissa, I see you said that you're ready. Okay. Markeisha is ready. All right, the readies are jumping on in there. Oh, y'all up in here deep. Y'all up in here deep. All right, let me get a swig of water. If you got to take a bathroom break, please run and go do it. Get you some water. Hopefully you already did all of that, because we about to get this thing popping. All right, now, who am I? For those who don't know, my name is Derek Jackson. My government is Jackson, Jackson. Pronounced the same way. I just wanted to make it easier to Google and stand out, because Jackson's such a common name. But my mama named me Derek, Jackson. I'm the author of Don't Forget Your Crown. That's what most people know me by, even though I'm a 10-time published author, self-published author. Most people know me for Don't Forget Your Crown. It sold well over 100,000 copies worldwide. It's still my best-selling book. It's Don't Forget Your Crown. Self-love has everything to do with it. My staple is self-love, remembering who you are, all that good stuff. So Don't Forget Your Crown is like my relationship Bible in a sense. And that's most of y'all probably know me by that book. I also create content. I happen to be a polarizing content creator, over 1 billion views online. But, it's not my goal to be polarizing. Honestly, if you tell the truth these days, you're going to be polarizing. You're going to ruffle some feathers. But no matter what anybody thinks about me, I can always stand on this. Every time I open my mouth, I'm either encouraging somebody or I'm telling the truth. I've literally, in my 10 years of doing this, I've never seen anybody be able to take my content and say there's zero truth to it, like specifically, not in general, or that it doesn't apply to anybody. So I stand on that. I'm cool. They can look at me any way they want to. I tell the truth, and I know that I'm encouraging a ton of people out there. The proof is in the pudding. But before I'm any of the content creator, author, or anything like that, I'm a husband. I'm a father of two beautiful children. My little girl, she's 4 years old, Marley Jackson, and then my little boy, Derek Jackson Jr., who was 3 years old and just officially got potty trained about 2 weeks ago. Somebody that's a parent high five me there for no more pull-ups and diaper changes the moment that he wakes up every single morning. Yes, that is my pride and joy that I'm a family man. I'm passionate about what I do because I grew up in a dynamic where we had family, of course, but it wasn't that it wasn't that two-parent household. My dad wasn't there. My mom's superwoman to this day. I believe she's one of the strongest women I've ever had the privilege to know. But we didn't have that family, and a lot of things that I grew up and had to overcome was a result of the family dynamic that was also a result of broken relationships. So whenever I talk about this, I'm coming from a very personal place. It wasn't until I was almost 15 years old that I saw both a husband and a wife in the home. My stepfather, who passed away unfortunately a couple of months ago, God rest his soul. But that was the first time that I got to see what it looked like whenever there was both a man and a woman in the home, and how they was able to pour in. How if one person was stretched thin, the other person was able to pick up the slack. How they was able to encourage each other. The benefit of that. So that inspired me to do what I do today. I don't know it all. I'm not, even though people look at me as a guru or expert, I don't claim to be. I literally have never claimed to be an expert in this area. I just want to open up my mouth and encourage somebody to make it out of their current situation, to keep believing in that two-parent household, because no matter what you have done or what you have tolerated in the past, like there's always a new tomorrow if you keep believing. All right. So I ain't gonna keep preaching. I just want to let y'all know where I'm coming from as we do this masterclass. Now, why in particular did I choose this topic to talk about? Because it is a little bit different than what I typically talk about. Well, the conversation right now around relationships has a lot to do with modern standards, traditional standards, and which one is right. Which one is right? Do we go with how our great granddaddies and grandmamas did it? Or should we change everything, throw everything, that we know about relationships out the window and do it differently now and go with this whole fluidity and super liberal way of going about relationships? Well, I don't have all the answers to that, but that inspired this conversation. And hopefully we can get a little clarity for those who also have been seeing that dichotomy of, modern versus traditional, modern man, modern woman, which one is best, blah, blah, blah. Also, I understand that there's a lot of you who are told you're to this or you're to that in order to receive the love that you desire, in order to receive and be able to be like to get that contributor to a healthy relationship. I mean, y'all let me know how many of y'all been told you're too big or small. You have too many kids. You got a baby daddy. You got a child at all. You don't make enough money, blah, blah, blah. So we're getting a lot of clutter and a lot of nonsense that's starting to pollute the conversation. So I want to sort that out and deal with that as well. And we're also told that the type of man I'm going to tell you about today doesn't exist, which could not be further from the truth. But we have to also understand what that man is as opposed to some of the things that get talked about online. Also, a lot of women in particular are told their standards are unrealistic or that their low standards are to blame for some of the results that they have on the dating scene. So I want to talk about what type of standards are quote unquote unrealistic, which ones are to blame, and which ones have yielded the best results for women who are looking for an evolved man or looking to be found by an evolved man. And also, I feel like there's no real conversation about what man is best equipped to meet emotional needs, how to identify him and what he's looking for. Because every man knows the basics of protect and provide. But when it comes to a woman's emotional needs, like I feel like that conversation has still not happened. So that's why I wanted to talk about this subject. Now, when it comes to dating, when it comes to picking and choosing, over the last probably 4 or 5 years, I've noticed something. There's been a lot of emphasis on, is this man good? Is he bad? And then there's this confusion whenever you see what is a good man. This dude, got a charity. He love his mama. He done saved cats from a burning building. He got all of these things on paper, but it doesn't translate into the relationship. He doesn't show up like that. And maybe he does in the next relationship or whatever. Here's what I think that is is at the root of that. One of the biggest flaws in choosing or allowing yourself to be chosen by a man is that too many times we emphasize who this man is and we don't emphasize what season he's in. Because even the best things have a bad season. Okay. Because when we talk about this, some people look at it as like, oh, and this is an excuse for a man. If he's a good man, he's just going to be amazing at the time that I'm looking to date him or whatever. No, we're creatures of duality. Everybody has a higher and a lesser version of themselves. Everybody has a right and a wrong time in order to come across them. Matter of fact, tell me if you can relate to any of these. Type I can if you can relate to any of these. And this is the emphasis on why we must acknowledge a person's season. Have you been both the hero and the villain? The hero in one person's story, the villain in another person's story. Like you're not the victim in everything. So have you been both the hero for somebody, been the one to help them and see them when nobody else saw them and listen, blah, blah, blah. And have you also been the villain in maybe that same person's story or another person's story? Type I can if you can relate. I know I can relate. I've been both the hero and the villain. Let's keep it all the way real. Can you relate to both being a work in progress and a masterpiece simultaneously? You're a work in progress, like you ain't all the way there. You got flaws. You need somebody to be patient with you, but you're also a masterpiece in another area or in general. Let me know if you can relate. Type I can. Okay. I see him coming in. So, okay, I got somebody in here who's also imperfectly perfect and all that good stuff. All right. So also, tell me I can if you can relate to being someone's greatest ally or being their worst enemy. Depending on how they treat you, depending on the energy, depending on what has happened, it ain't all one. When I think about this, and I talked about this last time, I think about those women on Snapped. These are ordinarily, soccer moms and the most gentle souls you'll ever meet, but they can be your greatest friend and ally, or they can be your worst enemy. And these women are cutting off all types of body parts and throwing them out in the yard and all that other good stuff too. We're not gonna go there. I sometimes laugh about stuff I really shouldn't be laughing about. So y'all forgive me. But tell me if you can relate to being, I don't put my, sorry y'all. I put my phone on airplane mode, but I couldn't put this on airplane mode because we need Wi-Fi. So y'all excuse that. But the world's biggest sweetheart, but also nothing to play with. Okay. Creatures of duality, desiring true love, but also incapable of receiving it at the same time based on the season that you're in. Okay. So if a person wants to judge you strictly in the season where you weren't ready for love, they may say, oh, you don't know a good man whenever you see one. You don't know a blessing whenever you see one. No, we're creatures of duality. We have sides, we have layers, we have seasons. All right. So before we get deep into the seasons, I just wanted you guys to understand how important it was to consider understanding how you personally can relate to being a completely different version of yourself, depending on what season you're in. Let's go ahead and talk about what an evolved man is. An evolved man is somebody who has taken traditional principles of a relationship and evolved them to meet his partner's emotional needs, regardless of societal norms. That's not wordy at all. I know. That's why I told you guys to take notes. But an evolved man is somebody who's not saying, okay, there are no rules. He's saying, look, I value and I respect the way to approach a relationship like a man should, but I'll also do what's necessary so that this is mutually beneficial for both me and my woman, regardless of what's normal, traditional, etc. That's what I consider an evolved man. Now, these days, there's a lot of different designations of what a man is. There's a real man, there's a narcissistic man, there's a high value man. Let me tell you how the evolved man is different. Now, real man, of course, the actual characterization of a real man would probably fit what an evolved man is. But I've seen examples where the real man is somebody who is spineless, who has endless tolerance for a woman who's unprepared, who doesn't have any standards for himself, who never voices his complaints. I remember I did a video and I said how good women, it was like the 4 ways a good woman loses a real man. Y'all, I received so much flack from women saying, well, he ain't a real man if he don't understand that she's, no, there are certain things that even an evolved man doesn't tolerate. There are certain things that even an evolved man is still evolving in that area of. He doesn't have it all figured out. He has flaws. He still needs accountability. He still has to know how to apologize and take that accountability. Evolved men have flaws. So social media's version of a real man It's just this perfect actual unicorn. So I get it when people are like, oh, this is a unicorn. No, like you may see somebody in a good light on a particular video. That doesn't mean he doesn't have his flaws as well. So the real man facade, that wouldn't quite fit the bill of an evolved man, but neither would the narcissist. Like that's the other side of the extreme. Now, let me be very clear. If you go on Psychology Today, I think it is, or Psych Central, one of those. If you go anywhere, any respected psychological website or anything like that, any text, anything like that, you'll see that actual narcissism, meaning narcissistic personality disorder, affects zero point 0.1 to 0.2% of the American population. So I don't know about all the countries, I don't know about the global stats or whatever, but it affects a relatively small number of people. Now, this is what affects everybody: narcissistic traits, which a lot of people have gotten those two kind of confused. They feel like if you have narcissistic traits, you must be a narcissist. Real quick, let me tell you, if you have narcissistic traits, if you've ever lied, ever lied, ever, you have a narcissistic trait. If you ever cut anybody off in conversation, ever spoke out of turn, you have a narcissistic trait. If you have ever had to move on from somebody and consider your own well-being and block their calls, ignore their calls, guess what? Even that was narcissistic. My kids are trying to get in here right now. Even that was narcissistic. Now, don't think automatically a narcissistic trait means you're a bad person. How my therapist put it was like this: on a scale of 1 to 40, the healthy level of quote unquote narcissism or narcissistic traits will be about a 10 to a 15. Without any level of narcissism, you're literally a doormat. Okay. So everybody with narcissistic traits, calm down. It's okay. You just want to make sure you're not scaling high like 30 to 35 or even more, because that will put you on the extreme end where, yes, a mental health professional would probably diagnose you as a narcissist. Now, even around the 20 to 25 mark, let's say midway, you can have such a narcissistic relational style of engaging with your partner to where it starts to infringe on the relationship. It starts to hinder the relationship. It starts to make it toxic. And that's the work that we all have to do. So I want to be very clear. The narcissist who, takes a lot of pictures, who never apologizes or anything like that, that person, the abusive type, that person is typically on the extreme end. Evolved men have some narcissistic traits, but what separates them from the ones that we consider to be a narcissist is their approach to being wrong, their approach to needing to change, their approach to needing to evolve. That's what an evolved man is. Okay. A narcissist, or what we'll just consider a narcissist for sake of conversation, is the person that has all of these flaws, but will blame you for them, turning them around on you, try to make you feel like you're somehow at fault for the ways that they need to grow and they weren't prepared for you. That's what a narcissist is. There's no point in even trying to reason with or be in a relationship with a narcissist. It's not going to work. But an evolved man, for those traits that he realizes that are narcissistic and hurting you, he will approach it in a completely different way, in a way that says, you know what, I can take accountability and I still have some room to improve. Okay. High value man. This has become really popular lately, I think, with a lot of like red pill YouTubers and stuff like that. So I don't want to stay too long on it, but we got to mention it. High value man is all about, how people perceive him. He's all about how many options that he has, right? Apparently, according to what I've learned about a high value man. Let me know in the comments, yay or nay, if you've heard of this topic of a high value man. So an evolved man, let's just go dive deeper into this one, because this is probably the most relevant characterization. Here are the similarities and differences of the high value man versus the evolved man that we're going to talk about today. The high value man is in high demand by everybody. High demand by everybody. Everybody want them, a lot of options, that kind of stuff. An evolved man is highly valuable to his loved ones. Complete difference. Everybody may not want him. Everybody may not be lining up around the corner. But for those that are in his life, he's a great leader. He's a great contributor to their lives. He's a great listener. He actually gives real valuable experiences. He's there for them. He's present for them. He values that, being highly valuable, not just in high demand. Okay. Now, a similarity they both have is that they pride themselves on their masculinity, the assertiveness, the taking initiative, the stoicism, all of that good stuff. So you'll see that similarity in a high value man and also an evolved man. Now, more differences would be that the high value man is driven by his perception. Does he dress well enough? Is he always in a suit? Does he drive the nice car? Does he live in the right neighborhood? Does he make the certain amount of money that will have him perceived as being this high status person? Whereas an evolved man is driven by principle. You'll notice that he's driven by a lot more purposeful things. Why he does what he does, how he spends his time, how he goes about his relationships. High value man chooses his partner based primarily on surface level characteristics, weight, looks, age. How is this going to look to my friends and family? How are you going to look to those that I might post you to social media based on? Like, that's what a high value man is going to choose his woman based on. Whereas an evolved man is going to choose primarily based on his purpose. He's purpose driven. Once he establishes that, that's what he's attracted by. Not to say an evolved man doesn't care how you look. He absolutely wants to be attracted to you. That's just not the end all be all. If you're not conventionally cute to such and such, then he'll pass up on a great woman. That's not how an evolved man is going to work. He's going to look for who's aligned with his purpose, who can push him closer to his purpose, and who's ready to allow him to push that woman to her purpose. All right, so let's just sum it up real quick. An evolved man is a man who prioritizes your real-time needs over society's norms. Okay, he's a man who accepts accountability and continuously works on himself. All right. He's a man who supports you in the work you're doing for yourself and does have his own standards and that he requires to be respected. Now, let me ask you guys a question. For those who've always heard, the kind of man that you want is so unrealistic, does that characterization of an evolved man sound realistic to you? Give me a yes or a no in the comments. Give me a yes or no in the comments. Okay. Sherry says yes. Donna, yes. Todd, yes. We have quite a few brothers on this. This is interesting. Welcome. Yes. Okay. So it does sound realistic, but that's because it is. Now, let's move on to the next segment. I told y'all there's going to be a lot of information. So hopefully you guys are taking notes. Early signs, the green flags of an evolved man. Now, I've done a video about this, so I won't go too deep into this, but it was definitely relevant to the masterclass today. Early signs, one of the first early signs, early green flags of an evolved man is that the bare minimum is second nature. It's not one of those things you have to like beg and plead and lecture him on, just basic manners, not even chivalry. We're not even talking chivalry. We're just talking about texting you back, texting you in a timely manner, texting you that he can't talk, if he can't talk, instead of ignoring every call, every text message until he finishes doing whatever he was doing. Just the basics, the bare minimum is second nature. Something you don't feel like you're schooling him on something he should have learned in elementary school, should have learned at home with his mama. All right. Also, humility. Humility is one of the early green flags. When you notice that this man, basically, look at how he treats the waiter or the waitress when you guys go out, and go get some food or something like that. Look and see how he treats people who are in a servant role. A man who treats the janitor with the same respect that he treats the CEO has the humility necessary to get into a relationship, and whether or not he's up or down, he never condescends you. He never looks down on you. Okay, that's why humility is important. But that's what he's going to have. Also, he doesn't care what his friends think. Now, when I say doesn't care, what I'm talking about is he's not a puppet. He's not a yes man. It's not one of those things. If one of his boys come talking about, I don't know, he's mad at you, you don't have to worry about him being codependent on what his friends think. Y'all be surprised how many dudes are out here operating with the taste and preferences of their homeboys. They don't even have a taste or preference. They just want to look cool to their homies. Bros over chicks, I guess you could say. That kind of nonsense that we all should have shaken in about 5th grade, 6th grade. It's a lot of grown men out here with that mentality. So an evolved man does not care what his friends think about how he shows up for his woman. He understands that his queen is going to play the most important position in his life. Should they go to the distance? And what she thinks and what she needs is a priority over his homies. Also, an evolved man is also going to have evolved gender role expectations. This is a big part of an evolved man because, again, he has taken those traditional principles of what a man should do and what a woman should do and evolved them per what's mutually best for the both of them, per the times that we're in. So he's not going to walk past a full sink of dishes because he took the trash out. He's not going to see you clearly exhausted, spent, mentally tapped from work and not offer to do some of the things around the house that you would normally do. Not take care of the kids so that you can get some sleep early that day. That's an evolved man that has evolved general expectations. It's whatever is best for the team, not what's best for 1930s tradition. An evolved man has also identified his potential hindrances to a healthy relationship. Again, evolved men have flaws, but evolved men have also identified those flaws and have something in place that is helping them correct them or keep them in check or be accountable for them. In which, by the way, if an evolved man has any type of issue, shortcoming, or flaw that you can't get with, you have every right to leave that evolved man. It doesn't make you a bad person. All right. Also, evolved men have an ongoing growth regimen, not even talking about things that he's done wrong or what flaws or mistakes or how he's hurt somebody. He just has an ongoing growth regimen because that's his priority on how to grow. He's not done. He's not good to go because he has a lot of options. He's not cool. He's not just focused on money. He has accountability partners. He has mentors. He has whether podcasts, books, or some type of media that he consumes so that he can continue growing and evolving because that's what he's also going to expect out of his woman. Now, we're going to talk about seasons. This is an ugly slide. I probably should have put some design on this one. But let's talk about the seasons that he's in because, again, I think that's one of the biggest flaws when it comes to choosing on the dating scene is that too many times we don't consider what season a person is in. So how do you choose what season that he's in? Hold on one second. Oh, this slide is out of place. How do you choose what season that he's in? Let's not skip this other one. Let's go back. Be careful, guys, when we talk about the qualities, the green flags of an evolved man, that you don't get love bombed. So for those who don't know what love bombed is, it's somebody who knows the right things to do, and they do them all at once up front in order to get you hooked, in order to get you to a vulnerable place. That way that they can play with you on down the road. So I wanted to put kind of the disclaimer in there. Not that the guys on here have any bad intentions, but some dudes will take the right information and have the wrong intentions and then hurt people with that. So be careful of love bombing. One, by knowing your non-negotiables up front, knowing your non-negotiables, knowing your end goal. So if a dude is trying to come on calling you wifey, calling you this, you're going to be my forever person, you my soulmate, because he wants you at his house on day 3 and you're not comfortable going to his house on day 3, or he wants to buy you a new house, or he wants to buy your business or whatever, invest with you, and it's only been a few days, you don't even know him like that. You have to know your non-negotiables. You have to know those boundaries up front so that you don't get love bombed, get sucked in, and now you're invested with a man who has your worst interest at heart. Also, you want to be careful not to date with attachment wounds that get prematurely soothed by all of this good behavior. That's one of the best protections that you can have, is to make sure not only that you heal, because I'm not a believer that you have to be 100% healed before you get into a relationship. There are going to be some things during the relationship you may not have known that you needed to be healed from. But one area to be especially vigilant about are those attachment wounds. What voids are there that are yearning for somebody to be there for you? Be very careful about going into a relationship with that, because that leaves you extremely susceptible to being love bombed by somebody who says, hey, look, I'm here. I'm your dream. I'm your knight in white shining armor. And then lastly, exercise boundaries, time boundaries especially. If you give a man access, and this actually goes for men as well, but if you give somebody access to your schedule, 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, whenever they call, you pick up, you're probably going to get prematurely invested in them, because now you're holding them in such a priority that they have not earned yet. All right. So now let's talk about the seasons. What season is he in? All right. Now, I break the seasons down to 5 categories: financial season, emotional season, physical season, spiritual season, and the mental season. All right. You have to evaluate all of these. I know this sounds complex, but if you've ever tried to pick your face up, put the pieces of your heart back together because you chose somebody in the wrong season, that's a whole lot more complex. So let's go ahead and get into it. And what I'm going to do to make sure this is really simple for you guys, because I don't want y'all just overload here, I'm going to give you some practical ways that you can identify the seasons. Instead of just how to identify what season he's in, I'm going to give you some take-home tools, some questions you can ask on that first or second date that's going to give you an indicator. So let's start with the physical. All right. When we talk about the physical season, we're talking about what command that a man has on his physical urges, plays a huge part in how he's going to be able to transition from that single life on into the relationship. So, does he have soul ties cut? Now, this is actually kind of a spiritual thing, actually, a very spiritual thing. But if he doesn't have the soul ties cut, it's going to be very hard for him to just willpower the discipline necessary to get into the relationship. Does he have his sexual appetite under control? This is what you ask him, or what you can ask him. Ask him, and this may not be a first date question, depending on how much of a rapport you guys have built. This may be second or third. But how often would you say you need sex? What you're listening for whenever you ask that question, this is a take-home question. How often would you say you need sex? What you're listening for is for him to be able to quantify, like, well, I don't necessarily need sex because some work that he's done, some soul ties that he's cut, some space in when he was getting it on the regular and where he's at now that lets him know he can shut down, he's good, not necessarily celibate. You know, I believe in being celibate, but not everybody is. So not necessarily that, but just has the discipline to be able to weather the storms that will come in a relationship. Because if he's in the wrong physical season in a relationship, whether there's something biologically going on with you, maybe you're on your menstrual, maybe you just had a baby or about to have a baby, maybe you guys are just not in a good place and you got some emotional things to sort out for you to even want to show up in the bedroom. Because ladies, what I understand is that if there's no emotional connection, for those of you who are emotionally connected to your bodies, if there's no emotional connection, if your emotional needs are not getting met, having sex with a man can actually feel like rape. I know, trigger warning, dang, I already done did it. But for those of you ladies that can relate, let me know that you can relate to that. If you've ever had sex with a man that you were just like, completely disgusted by because of what had transpired on an emotional level, and you still had sex with him, there can be a feeling of almost like a prostitute type of feeling. The book, His Needs, Her Needs by William F. Harley. Actually, I have it up here. Let me get it real quick. The book, His Needs, Her Needs. I wasn't planning on doing this. Book, His Needs, Her Needs by William F. Harley. Great book. Talks about that. And that's really important. So again, how often would you say you need sex? Now, secondly, the spiritual season. What spiritual season is he in? Some people don't even take their spirituality very serious, but for those who do, like me, I'm a Christian, haven't always been a Christian, but I am now. Spirituality, like if you take it serious, it's like usually it's all or nothing. Like some people are lukewarm, but typically it's all or nothing. So the biggest thing with spirituality, even if you are not a Christian or whatever it is that you subscribe to, you want to make sure that person is on the same page because it's something that's so important to those it's important to. So you need to know whether or not you guys are equally yoked. One question I would advise, because you don't want to go in saying, are we equally yoked? Are you Christian enough? Are you Muslim enough? Are you atheist enough? I don't know. Ask them a question of, what brought you spiritually to the place you are now? That's a non-intrusive, non-threatening way to broach the topic of spirituality. And again, if he's serious about his spirituality, you'll have no problem with that. This is just conversation. Matter of fact, this may be a chance for him to give you his testimony. This is not something super personal or whatever. Like, what brought you spiritually to the place you're at now? You're not judging him. You're not asking for his social security number. You're introducing the topic that's going to let you know whether or not you two are on the same page. All right. Thirdly, I know some people are like, man, I'm just not getting to thirdly. Yeah, thirdly, emotional season. You want to know what emotional season he is in. Is he even emotionally available? Does he have complaints? A whole lot of bitterness that's unresolved from his past. When you guys get on the topic of anything emotional, does he ramble on? Does he give you some saving private story? Do it for little saint sad story, to the point where you handing him tissues and stuff like that? A question that you can ask him is, how did your last relationship affect you when it ended? Now, of course, the emotional seasons are not just determined by, relationships, romantic relationships. They also determined heavily by childhood. But I'm a believer that, in the first or second date, you don't want to go too hard too soon. So that's something I'll put on a different one when it comes to asking questions a lot deeper into the relationship. But something you can ask first or second date that would be totally appropriate. How did your last relationship affect you when it ended? One, you're going to get if it ended, or if he's still in a relationship. Two, you're going to get like the first thought that's going to come to his mind is probably going to take over his physiology. So if he immediately deflates, if he immediately is reliving pain, that pain is too present in order for him to get into a healthy relationship at this current moment. More than likely, he's self-soothing with you. He's not even dating you. He's self-soothing with you. He's distracting himself with you. I hate to be so, negative, but I'm just keeping it real with you. It could be 6 months since his last relationship. The whole, oh, when was your last relationship don't really matter. If he's gone from one hookup to the next hookup, from one rebound to the next rebound, and he's never dealt with that unresolved pain, you're going to be just as much of a rebound as the one that he had 2 days after his last relationship ended. So ask him, how did your last relationship affect you when it ended? If he can't talk about this freely, detached from whatever happened, he's probably not in the right emotional season, even if he is an evolved man. All right. And then lastly, what is his financial season? Now, I don't mean to be superficial. I'm not here saying look only for a man who got $1 million in the bank or anything like that. I think it's totally cool if you want to date a man who doesn't have, again, 8 figures or anything like that. But we have to understand something. I'm not a promoter of struggle love. I'm just not. I believe if a man is a provider, he's not even going to feel right really dating really heavily if the finances aren't at least headed in the right direction. Not that it's going to be where he wants it to be. Because there's a difference between frugality and financially drowning. If that man is financially stressed out, I promise you, you're only going to get a piece of him in the relationship. I don't know what piece you're going to get, but you're only going to get a piece of him. He may be great for friendship. He may be great sexually, but you're not going to get the full presence of that man and what he's supposed to be in the relationship if he financially is drowning. So a question that you can ask is, do you think there's a such thing as not being able to afford a date? This is a non-intrusive, non-threatening way, a non-interrogative way to ask him about where he's at, to kind of broach the topic of where he's at when it comes to finances as it relates to dating. Then you'll get like whether or not, I don't, if he says, for instance, I don't think there's a such thing as not being able to afford a date. I totally believe that you can go out on a date even if your account balance is negative. The woman should be able to pay. Well, you know that you guys just aren't on the same level financially, mentally speaking, even if he has money right now, and that's going to cause you to run into problems later on. But if he's able to speak kind of candidly and he's able to articulate that, yes, there is a such thing as not being able to afford to date, and he's able to speak to his priorities and how that, made him fit to be able to be on this date. Well, now you have somebody who at least has their priorities in order. Now, just kind of a quick side note for those of y'all who have been shamed for, wanting to date a man in a certain financial bracket. Let me say this, feel no shame, feel zero shame. And this is why. You're not a gold digger because you say, I need you to have your money together. Not even just because of the financial stressors. If you're going to have this man and you're dating for marriage, like you're serious. If you're going to have this man in the driver's seat or in the co-pilot seat, whatever it is, he's going to have a high impact on what happens with the money. You have every right to say, I need to be presented with data in this area before I move forward. You can't be presented with data if the man is broke. I'm not shaming broke dudes now. We all have been there. I know I have. More times than I like to count. But if you don't have data as to how he's going to be a steward with the finances, that's an area that you have to go in blind. All for what? So you can be approved by society that says a real woman don't care about a man money? No. Just so you can avoid all the criticism about being a gold digger because, you want a man who has some means, not only for the comforts of the relationship going in, but also to be able to see, does his character change if he comes into some money? Is this a person that I can build a business with? You want to build this legacy and have this empire? Well, you can't do that with a dude, and you don't even know how he's going to be with the money. Is he going to buy up a closet full of J's whenever y'all need to reinvest in some inventory? Okay? I told y'all, this was not a part of the presentation. If you came to the original one, this is the encore. If you came to the original, you didn't hear me say all that. So hopefully you guys got that, man. But I want to hear from you guys. Do y'all feel me on that? Like, there's nothing wrong with having a financial standard. So many women, this self-inflicted guilt and shame for having standards, even in the area of finances. Not that it should be an end all be all, not that it should be the top priority. But if this man is going to have an impact on the family's finances, yes, you need to be evaluating him in that area the same way you evaluate him in any other. I missed one. I said it was the last one, but it wasn't. Mental. What mental season is he in? Try to keep this thing going. What mental season is he in? Does he have an awareness of his mental capacity and need for support? Okay. Now we'll get into why that's important. Here are two questions that you can ask in order to assess what season he's in when it comes to the mental aspect. What do you turn to for comfort when life is overwhelming? I think it's a fair question. If I wanted to edit this, what or who do you turn to for comfort when life is overwhelming? Because life will get overwhelming. If you're going to be with this man for the long haul, life is going to get stressful. Life is going to get overwhelming. If he feels like it's you that he should be able to turn to, you got a problem. You got a problem. Now, I'm not saying he's in the wrong season, but he's definitely undeveloped in terms of his awareness of what is actually going to do the trick whenever he's overwhelmed. He doesn't have things set up in order to safely not need you. Okay? Safely not need you. Very important that you're not the end all be all for a man's mental stability. If you've ever been in a situation with a man that was mentally unstable, I don't have to tell you why. But it's very important that you're not the end all be all. You're not the penicillin. You're not the one, the savior, the hero for whenever he is mentally overwhelmed. Another question on a scale of 1 to 10. How comfortable are you asking for help when you're stressed? Now, like I said earlier, I was going to tell you guys about why this is important. Because if a man cannot or has not gotten to the point where he's comfortable asking for help whenever he needs help, he's going to turn to his vices. He's also going to struggle to communicate in a relationship with anything that he has a problem with, in which in that we see a lot of, he has a discomfort, he has an issue, and it goes straight into action. It never pit stops at conversation. He has an issue, maybe he's insecure about something, angry about something, hurt about something, and it goes straight into action, whether it's a reaction to punish you or an action to soothe in some unhealthy way. And it never pit stops at communication. Hey, baby, this is how I feel about the amount of time you've been spending at work. This is how I feel about the tone that you took with me at the family dinner. This is how I feel. It never stops there. Why? Because he's already normalized not going to anybody else whenever he has an internal issue. And again, we're supposed to be internally managing. We're going to talk more about that. But if the internal issue, I'm talking about an issue that started off external, then it became internal, and he never took it up with the proper person, which in this case will be you, that's a problem in the relationship. Now you're going to get a lot of passive aggressiveness. You're going to get, again, a lot of punishment, which could blur the lines of narcissism, the whole nine. So what season is he in? Is he in a season where he understands that? Is he in a season where you're not going to have to raise him, mentally speaking, to be able to be a productive contributor to a healthy relationship? In that, I would also argue that he's probably not an evolved man if that's the case. Now, I know we've covered quite a bit. We ain't done yet, though. We ain't done yet. So type yes in the chat if you're still with me. I'm over here yelling. I know my family looking at me like, boy, you're not yelling. Okay, Suresh is in the house, says yes. All right, Chance in the house says yes. Okay, Latrice, yes. All right, Mary, yes. All right, cool. Y'all still with me? Thank you. I know I can talk a lot, man. After the last one, I did the original version of this master class. I got a lot of feedback saying that I talk really fast. I'm like, hey, look, I can't help it. My thoughts go really fast. So glad to know y'all are still with me. We ain't got a whole lot more though. Let's get into it. So, what are the things that an evolved man who's also in the right season, what thing is he repulsed by? First off, rabbit chasing. I think too many times we confuse the whole take initiative. A man is supposed to pursue. The sperm chases the egg. A man who finds a good thing finds a wife. We confuse that with a man needing to chase a running rabbit. If you're playing hard to get, I promise you, you're going to be hard to want. Look, I get it. There are some exceptions to the rule, but that doesn't mean we can ignore the rule. Now, when I say rabbit chasing, I'm talking about somebody who, yes, you gave me your number, but you intentionally don't answer for the first week. You intentionally give him short little responses to text messages to get him to continue trying to open up dialogue. You're continuously not available for any date. I mean, you're just never available. That's rabbit chasing, where you get him to a point where if he's not begging for your attention, then you're not interested. That would be rabbit chasing. Now, letting the man take the initiative, all that requires is for you to show the interest, be receptive, not 100% available all the time. We're going to talk about why that ain't cool. Actually, that's on, let me see. Yeah, that's the next point. So you don't want to be that either, but just receptive. Now, another thing that will turn an evolved man off is the over availability. That says that you don't have a life outside of this relationship pursuit, in which in a relationship, you're also not going to have a life outside of him. So you're going to overly depend on him for fulfillment in life. If you're always available, not saying that, oh, you're available 2 or 3 times, but you need to, whenever you guys talk, you need to be able to speak to other things that you have on your schedule, other initiatives, other goals, other things that are important, other things that he must be aware of. Now, don't do this in a way where you sitting there canceling on a date that you didn't have this man preparing for, but just simply don't be over available. Hey, I can't talk right now. Tomorrow's a much better time. What are you doing tomorrow? No, I can't go out Friday night, but Saturday, let's do brunch. Or maybe Saturday night or Sunday evening. Like over availability says you don't have enough going on in your life. And those who don't have enough going on in their lives tend to be liabilities, emotionally speaking, instead of assets, instead of already being sufficient on their own. So that when a man comes in, they just giving them overflow. They're giving each other overflow. Another thing, dates that feel like therapy sessions. We talked about this when it came to a man being in the wrong season. Guess what? Evolved men are also not looking for any type of patience. So if you get into, a dating situation and you find yourself rambling, be very careful about that. Of course, everybody got a story to tell. I ain't saying being so guarded, but you want to be very careful not to be looking to him to it. Can you tell me why a man would ever do this? Like if you get to that point, or if you get to the point where you're talking about something that triggers you, you need to go ahead and change the subject. Yeah, some things, whatever, but whatever. And you also need to understand that you probably need healing in that area. So dates that feel like therapy sessions, huge red flag to an evolved man. Also, fear-based independence. Now, I've talked about this on a video as well. It's dope when a woman has her own, doing her own thing, has her own purpose and passion in life. Look, y'all, that is dope. I don't care what you've heard. We're going to talk about why that's complete nonsense that a man don't care nothing about a woman having her own, doing her own thing. Now, if you're a housewife, if that's your own thing, much love to you. But independence is still sexy. For those of y'all who are also independent, it's still sexy. Just not fear-based independence. I'm talking about the type of independence where your drive and everything that you do solely comes from a hurtful, unresolved place. Because if that's the case, then the moment that you get into any type of conflict in a relationship, especially if he ain't got his money right at that particular season of the relationship, he's trying to get there. What's going to happen is you'll likely weaponize the fact that you got money. He can't talk to you. He's not deserving of the same respect. You don't need him. And every evolved man wants to be valued, wants to be needed. Masculinity needs to be needed. The same way femininity is typically characterized by receptiveness, a masculine man needs to be needed. So if you have fear-based independence, the type of independence that's going to turn into a weapon at some point to beat him down, he's going to run the other way. Just is what it is. It's not him being intimidated, it's him being turned off. All right. A general disdain for men or contempt. Now, I'm fully aware, like brothers in general, behind the 8 ball, myself is included, flawed and did some things, all that kind of stuff. But if you go into conversation about men and women in general, and he hears disdain in the conversation, what he's going to hear is contempt. A situation in the future where that default belief about men being horrible is going to be projected onto him. He also hears that you're not quite healed yet either. So be careful about that general disdain for men. And lastly, a lack of boundaries for male friends. Talked about this before, but you cannot go, and I'm not talking about you can't have male friends, but you cannot go to, say, a get together where male friends are going to be all good. You want them to meet your male friends, even better. But if one of your male friends picks you up, spins you around, you kick your leg up in the air, he kisses you on the neck, smells your perfume, grabs your butt on the way out, that's a bit much. That I don't have to tell you why that's a bit much. Y'all laughing. That's a bit much. And he's going to peep that, like, yo, not only the way that she is right now is the way that she is whenever I'm not around. So therefore, there's all kind of things that can be going on. But if she's like this, imagine how uncomfortable I'm going to be whenever I bring around my male friends, my handsome other, well off, well friends. Imagine how she's going to be carrying herself. And don't think this only applies to meeting, people in person. If you're online, if you have pictures and videos online, and you have these heterosexual, because that does matter, heterosexual, straight male friends that are doing some risque things to you, and he sees that, he's also going to be hands off. Like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is the type of comfort, this is the type of access men in general have to her. I'm cool. Don't feel comfortable with it. My heart is not safe there, is what an evolved man is going to think. Now, let's talk about more on the positive. I know we kind of went to a negative route a little bit, but let's talk about on the positive end. What does an evolved man crave in a woman up front? Kindness. Kindness. That's not news to anybody. Kindness. But let me couple that with something. Also, upheld boundaries. Just because you're kind, just because you're nice, doesn't mean you're some agreeable doormat, that you have no opinions, that you can't voice whenever you have a concern or you have a discomfort about something that's going on. No, kindness just means just like a generally positive, welcoming disposition on a regular basis. Okay, kindness. Also, you have to show zero dependence on male attention. Not that you can't get any, because if you find you can't help that. If you glow up and you can't help that. But ladies, y'all know what it looks like when a woman is dependent, thirsty for, craving for general male attention. Y'all know what it's like. Think of the type of woman that would offend you based on what she had on if she came to your wedding in that particular attire. A woman that you invited, if she had on a particular attire outside of colors, I know y'all want nobody matching y'all, with your wedding dress. You got to be the only one with the cream color or the white color. I know how y'all get down. Think of a woman coming dressed to your wedding and you don't appreciate it. Your bridesmaids don't appreciate it. They're going to go check old girl. That would show a dependence for male attention. If you are saying things, again, online does matter. It's an extension of you. So if you're saying things online that show that you're craving for male attention, pick me behavior, I just wish I had a man that I could slurp up like a Slurpee and blah, 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 blah. You crave male attention. Now, if you're not caring nothing about dating for a serious relationship, do your thing, boo-boo. I'm not judging you, not judging nobody. I'm just telling you what makes an evolved man crave you. When he sees zero dependence on male attention, but you bad, but you fly, but you're confident in yourself, highly, highly attractive to an evolved man. Also, and you can barely see this one, also, upfront confidence and understanding in your true self, not leaving it up to him to figure out. One of the best things you can do is be able to have a conversation at length, not about all the ways that you've been hurt, but about the work that you've done to truly understand yourself, why you appreciate yourself, why you love yourself, how you show that love to yourself. Again, evolved men are looking for emotional assets, not emotional liabilities. Not looking for voids to fill. They're not looking to prey on you. That's a narcissistic trait. Not looking to prey on you. Evolved men are looking for women that, to a large degree, have themselves figured out. That says safety when it comes to trying to love a woman, or ladies, y'all may be able to relate to this, trying to love somebody. If you ever try to love somebody who don't know anything about how to love them correctly, you know how frustrating it is, how discouraging it is. So one of the most attractive things you can do to make a man crave you, and it's actually rare. That's why self-love is such a popular topic and stuff like that, unfortunately, because so many women don't understand themselves, don't know how to love themselves, don't know what it takes to properly love them. A lot of women are trying to figure that out by dating several different guys, like 10 different guys at a time, serial dating. Or they rely on the man to figure that out in a relationship. So if you had that already taken care of, you know exactly what it's going to take. Oh man, that speaks clarity to a man. Masculinity is very compartmental in thinking. very compartmental, very black and white. Tell me what it is. I'll show up. I'll execute. I'll dominate. But don't have me trying to figure stuff out and use my intuition that masculinity doesn't have. That's what y'all have. Y'all can figure out ways to love a man. Y'all can look at a man, know exactly how he's hurting, and know exactly what he needs and when he needs it. And sometimes that's to a fault that you start applying yourself in that way. The nurturing, the maternal instinct. So I know I'm kind of going to some side notes, but this is all necessary to understand. You have to have not only confidence, but also understanding in yourself. You already got this taken care of. You're only allowing a man to come in and add value. You're not looking for a man to complete you in this area of figuring out who you are. Receptiveness. Another thing masculine men crave, receptiveness. Now, we talked about it before, but the fear-based independence makes a man say, hey, I'm cool. Receptiveness of a man's leadership, guidance, financial resources, financial contribution. Not that you got to be all impressed, by every little thing that you see, but receptive. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, you can open this door for me. Yes, you can pay for this lunch or this dinner. I appreciate this small gift that's under $200 on the first or second date. I appreciate that. I appreciate the effort, the extra effort you put into your appearance. I appreciate the flowers on the first date. Receptiveness. You'll be surprised. I don't need that. I'm good. I got it myself. I ain't no damsel in distress. Like, look, we get it. We get it, man. You know what I'm saying? But an evolved man is looking for a woman that, after they've done sacrificing, working hard, overcoming throughout the week, and they were just motivated by that woman that they got at home, that when they come and give it to her, it's going to be embraced. That's going to increase his feeling of being needed, his feeling of being desired. Again, super important for a masculine man. And lastly, and this may surprise some of y'all, a thing that's going to make an evolved man crave you is that you lose interest in him if or when he loses effort. Now, we're not talking about mind games. If a man is playing mind games with you, trying to breadcrumb you, that's a narcissistic thing, by the way. Trying to breadcrumb you, telling you that he's interested, but not really showing it, that type of stuff. You need to leave that man alone. But if an evolved man in the natural course of life, things are happening, maybe there's death in the family, maybe there is some financial challenges that he's encountering, upon the first, second month of even meeting you, things that may take him away, you need to taper down like your interest in him. Now, this is not a mind game. This is not a mind game. This is basically a call for you not to force the consistency where there's no consistency meeting you at the door. Because evolved men understand cause and effect. That's just what it is. That's just the rules of life. You don't work, you don't eat, right? You don't go to the gym, you're not going to have their six-pack abs or whatever. There's cause and effect in every area of life. There also should be cause and effect when it comes to relationships. Again, not mind games. But I see too many women trying to force themselves to continue showing up because they don't want to lose that man that seems so great at the very beginning, or maybe he's just getting a little spotty with his communication. So they force themselves early on in the dating stages before that part of her consistency is earned, irregardless of what's going on the other side. The foundation ain't even been set yet. In that stage, there's a lot of women who will continue to show that interest or maybe even amp it up. Hey, why aren't you calling? Why aren't we going out like we used to? If he's an evolved man and he's genuinely, sincerely having some things affect him being able to show up, he totally understands that you're going to lose interest. And whenever you do, that's going to show the value that you place on your interest, on your presence, on your energy. Okay? Now, we're getting towards the end of this masterclass. And we haven't been here too long, so we did really good. But what's most important to me is that this has been helpful. Because I worked really hard on this. I already see some people responding to the slide. I worked really hard on this, and it's a conversation unlike what I've seen out there. It's a conversation unlike what I've ever had before. So type yes if this has been helpful to you. Can you give me some words of affirmation here? Has the information that I have shared been helpful? Type yes if any part of it has been helpful whatsoever. All right, I'm looking at y'all. I see y'all commenting. Thank you. Thank you. Now, thank you to everybody commenting. Keep going. No, it's cool. But I made some promises coming in And I said that we were going to talk about this, that, and the other. And that when I show up on these master classes, I don't shortchange. Same thing goes here. Told you guys I was going to give you a bonus, and I was going to talk about what makes an evolved man fall in love over and over again. Now, this is how I even got this data. Over the years, I've compiled an email list, actually close to 200,000 people at this point. It's segmented by age, location, all these different things. I have a segment for men only, who have been in a relationship or currently are in a relationship for at least 5 years, a long-term relationship, right? And what I asked these men, thousands of men, I said, look, what was it that made you fall in love over and over again with the woman that you're currently with? Or if you eventually left this woman after 5 years, what was it that made you leave? Like, what emotional need wasn't there? What metric did she not meet? Now, that's going to be kind of weird to some people to hear me say something like that, because I know a lot of people subscribe to this whole, if a man want to leave, he going to leave. You can't make him stay, which is BS. It's nonsense. It is nonsense in this aspect. If a man has made up his mind that he wants to leave, yes, there's nothing that you can do to make him stay. You can't cook good enough. You can't do him good enough. You can't make enough money. You can't lose enough weight. Nothing's going to make him stay if he already wants to leave. But there are things that can push a man out the door of a relationship, even for a woman that he loves and even for a woman that he truly wants to be with. Like, ladies, haven't you been in a relationship where you genuinely wanted to be with that man? You wanted to be there, but some action started to make you feel like, I'm not emotionally safe. Oh my goodness. I'm getting blown up. Some action of his made you feel emotionally safe. Something made you feel like, you know what? I can't take this anymore. Ladies, haven't you been in a relationship? Haven't you been in a situation? I'm looking in the chat. Haven't you been in a situation where you wanted to stay, but he was putting pressure up front in the dating phase? He was going all out, and then he got comfortable and he stopped doing the things that he was doing in the very beginning in order to get you. And that type of thing now, for a person, a woman that wanted to stay, made you say, I'm not so sure about this. Guess what? Men have had the exact same experiences. And these are the 4 consistent answers that I got among both groups of men, over 3,000 respondents. Okay. The first one, let's just kind of keep it on the positive end. But the first thing that makes a man want to stay, keeps him wanting to stay, because he keeps falling in love over and over again with this woman, is self-investment that translates. We're in an age where I think we're probably like in the second generation now of women who are self-investing to a point. They're outpacing men when it comes to being educated in college. They're outpacing men when it comes to starting their own business. They're right there with men when it comes to being the breadwinner, the financial breadwinner in households, despite getting paid less for the exact same work and the exact same roles. So there's still a learning curve on how to be all great and awesome on a personal level, but translate that into the relationship. However, those women who have figured that out, those women have the keys to make their man fall in love over and over and over again. So all the working out, all the success, all the passion, all the, I don't know, maybe you do some volunteer work, all of the learning, all of the traveling, there's a way to translate that into the relationship in a beneficial way that will keep your man falling in love with you over and over again. Of course, he's supposed to be your number one cheerleader, but there's also a way that you can start self-investing to where he feels like he's getting put on the back burner and he's not quite getting the help me. He's not quite getting the partner that he signed up for. Okay. Now, the second thing that will make a man fall in love with you over and over again is emotional discernment. Emotional discernment. Being able to understand and qualify what emotions deserve what reaction and when, and how to respond in order to effectively resolve whatever conflict arose. I don't even know if that's a word. Has arisen. I don't even know if that's a word. Has came up because of that emotion. Emotional discernment. So when you don't have emotional discernment, okay, you may displace anger and frustration that don't belong with that man. And it's kind of very similar to what we're going to talk about next. So I'll kind of mesh these two together. But when you don't have emotional discernment, you may, have a situation where this started at work, or a situation that started because of a previous relationship. And now you're taking it out on your man. Men do this as well now. So I'm sure, ladies, you can relate to this. But there are a lot of men, if they start having financial issues Or if they got yelled at work, they'll come and express that emotion that they have at home because they have no emotional discernment to understand this is what I'm feeling. This is truly what I'm feeling. And it doesn't belong in the house, or this reaction doesn't belong in the house. Now, again, there's a kind of a blurred line here between that and well managed internal environment. Very, very similar. Not necessarily just being able to identify the emotions, but taking full responsibility and ownership over your emotions at all times. So instead of always coming with, you made me feel like this, and therefore I did that, a well managed internal environment carry on a conversation and any type of conflict resolution in this way. You know what? I feel like this thing went on. I don't know it for sure, but this is what I feel like. But I understand my feelings are not the facts of what actually happened. My feelings are the facts of my experience. So I want to talk about it. I want to deal with this because I don't want to continue to experience this. I'm not blaming you, but I'm coming to you so we can come together with a solution. That's a well managed internal environment. Not, again, displaced anger, not coming from emotion straight to action. A well managed internal environment. You're responsible for your own happiness. You're not dependent on him for your happiness. You're responsible for your own security. Even though, yes, there are things that he can do to start, creating some insecurities, you take full ownership of your own security, and then you communicate how he can be a contributor or a protector of that. That is a well-managed internal environment where the man doesn't feel like, dang, man, no matter what I do, she's never secured herself. She never feels beautiful. She never feels happy. Now, the exception here is that there's some type of, depression or anxiety, like, you've been diagnosed with something like that. There's an exception there. So don't feel like you have to come in and be perfect on all fronts, but just basically where you don't make him the steward of your internal environment at all times. And then lastly, assertive conflict resolution will make a man crave you. Assertive conflict resolution. Now, for those who don't know what assertive is, it's a style of communication. All right. So there are three main styles. There's aggressive, passive aggressive, and then assertive communication. So there's aggressive on this end, and that means like yelling at a dude, snapping on a dude every time you get upset. That's aggressive, calling them names, or you don't want to be bothered, so you just you biting at them. That's aggressive. And then there is passive aggressive, where there's no communication. There's just silent, retorts. There's just silent punishment. They're you know what I mean when I say passive aggressive, subliminals, that kind of thing. Assertive conflict resolution. And similar to what I just described, and it's a byproduct of that, byproduct of a well-managed internal environment, assertive conflict resolution is being able to directly state what's going on with you, what's wrong, and then coming together for a solution. Assertively, not I'm going to do this in order to render this particular behavior out of my man. I want him, I don't know. I want him to spend more time at home. Therefore, I'm going to make him jealous. That's passive aggressive. Or I'm going to snap on him because he's not spending enough time at home. He's always at work. He's always hooping with his boys. But I'm going to instead assertively come to him and let him know, hey, this particular thing I believe is getting in the way of my needs getting met. So how can we come up with something that works for both of us? That's assertive conflict resolution. Now, for these areas, the presentation was mostly about, how to make an evolved man crave you. But I have some resources that have proven highly effective in order to help people in each of those areas that I just named in terms of making an evolved man crave you over the long term, in order to fall in love with you over and over and over again. Before I show you, because I'm a gentleman, I want to know, do I have permission to show you what resources I've created to ensure that your evolved man falls in love with you over and over again? Let me know down in the chat. Do I have permission? Yes or no? As a matter of fact, don't put no if I don't have your permission. Just go ahead, click off of this. The presentation is over for you if you don't want to see anything. For those who want to see, okay, I'm seeing some yeses. For those who are okay with it, can I show you what I've created to ensure that you're evolved? Okay, I'm seeing enough yeses. Cool. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Now that I have your permission, let's go ahead and get into it. Because again, I have created several resources. I call it the Involved in Love package. It's like my dream team. For those who want an evolved man, you see value in having an evolved man in your life. And again, you're highly interested in having him fall in love with you over and over again. These are the 4 resources I highly recommend in order to help with that. I don't know what situation or what area you need the most help in or that you see the most value in, but any one of these will make a tremendous difference in order to have that evolved man fall in love with you over and over again. The first one is the Keys to Self-Closure course. This is especially for those of y'all. You didn't get the apology you deserved at the end of the last relationship. You didn't get the explanation. You didn't get the 2 weeks notice. Things ended abruptly and you never got that closure from that person. The Keys to Self-Closure course is for those of you who want to achieve peace of mind, healing, and elevation, irregardless. Okay? This helps with the well-managed internal environment because that's what you have to do in order to move on. Now, one example of this, to better explain what I'm talking about, is Sierra. I'm calling her the self-closure queen right now. But Sierra, for those who don't know who Sierra is, she is a singer and a dancer, a great one. And she's well noted not only for her talents and her career, her beauty and family and all that good stuff, but some also know her because she's dated a few famous guys or whatever. One of them being a rapper named Future, who, has a reputation, just is what it is. And now she's in a healthy, thriving, beautiful relationship with Russell Wilson. Christian man, he's a quarterback. They have a beautiful family. Now, Sierra was engaged to Future in 2014. They ended. The most interesting thing is not that they ended and how it ended. It was that after the fact, Future not only didn't give her any type of closure or anything like that, Future went on to make songs and talk all kind of smack about Sierra. He actually said she's a part of his collection because he hit her. He had sex with her. Okay. He went on to basically make her a punchline in order to continue being successful. So I'm just going to go there and say she didn't get quite closure over that. But what I loved about Sierra is that the engagement ended in 2014. By 2015, she was in a relationship with Russell Wilson. And all she kept asking for was separation from Future, to not be mentioned. She had to go through the courts in order to get him to basically shut up, because not only was he not giving her closure, he was sitting there trying to make sure that she didn't get closure. He was trying to prevent her from getting closure, but she didn't need it. She moved right on, got with Russell Wilson. I'm sure they have their flaws and stuff like that. I'm not one to be all caught up on the picture, but that's a beautiful family, beautiful couple, beautiful family. That's what happens whenever you have self-closure skills. When you know how to move on without a person taking accountability. When a person does you wrong and they don't even want to say that they did you wrong. This is what happens when you're able to move on irregardless. And this is what I teach you how to do in the self-closure course. That course is $997 right now. If you go to my website, which I don't advise, I advise you to wait to the end. But if you go to my website, you can get that right now. Okay. The second part of the Evolved in Love package is my course on being purposely single while preparing for your blessing. All right. This is where I teach you how to make that self-investment translate into your relationship in a way that benefits your relationship, in a way that makes your evolved man fall in love with you over and over again. Now, the purposely single queen is Viola Davis. Why do I say that? So for those who don't know, Viola Davis is a famous actress. She's also married to an actor. I don't really know him as well. I think his name is Tennant. I forget his name. Julius Tennant. Okay. So Viola Davis and Julius Tennant. They've been married going on 20 years, something like that. They were on the Black Love docuseries and all that good stuff. So what's interesting about Viola is that she prayed for her husband. She said she wanted a man who looked like a football player, previously married, who had 1 to 2 children from that marriage. She was just really specific on what she wanted to manifest. And then she met this brother 3 weeks later who literally fit every criteria. Now, what was interesting was, even though at the time that she met him, she was alone. She said she was even lonely. Like, she wanted somebody. She was in a new city. She hadn't met anybody. She got his phone number and didn't use it for a full month. He gave her his card. She didn't call him for a full month. Why? Because she wasn't ready. She felt like her credit wasn't good enough. Now, I'm not here to qualify if that's a good reason, because quite honestly, I think he probably didn't care anything about that credit. But The biggest thing is she wasn't desperate. She had been purposely single. She had a reason for why she was waiting, and she wasn't going to take that next step forward until she was ready. She was making sure that her self investment could properly translate into the relationship. And now they've been married since 2003. All right. So that's the value of being purposely single. Have an intention around your singleness. And even when you do want companionship and want somebody and you meet that person, knowing how and being in a position where you're not taking that step until you're ready. Because if you're desperate for anything, you'll never have the proper leverage to get what you want in a relationship. You just won't. Okay. That particular program is $14.97 right now. If you go to DerrickJackson.com, that's what it's going for. Worth every dime. The results have been crazy. The testimonials have been crazy. I need to find a way to put that on here somewhere. Also, this is my most recent program called Emotional Needs Mastery Program. This is the most robust. This has downloadable PDFs establishing what the 9 core emotional needs are in every relationship. This helps with emotional discernment. This is what's going to help you. Now, when I say the 9 emotional needs, we all know about the 5 love languages, right? Most of y'all have heard about the 5 love languages, where there are 9 core emotional needs. And when you don't know those emotional needs, you also don't know how to communicate what your emotional needs are. Now, one example that I've seen of a couple that has emotional needs mastery, and they have to, clearly, Barack and Michelle Obama. I don't have to explain who they are, and I don't have to characterize what they have gone through as a couple. But according to Barack and Michelle, and this is according to People magazine, they sat down with People and asked Michelle a couple of questions. And what she said probably will surprise some people. She wanted to leave the marriage several times. Yes, this is Michelle and Barack and how good they look, how well she dresses, how much she's smiling, how beautiful the children are. She wanted to leave their marriage several times because of the pressure, because of what was going on, because Barack may be, trying to, save or, send troops to Afghanistan and fix the financial crisis. And she's over there with all these unmet emotional needs. He actually said that he noticed that Michelle wasn't smiling as much as she used to smile. She wasn't as happy consistently as she once had been. And what was the turning point? Going to counseling, learning how to communicate. And what did they learn in communicating? What the emotional needs were, how to discern what the emotional needs were, how to react to certain emotions that were coming up, how to know if the emotions were a byproduct of something going on in the relationship or something going on outside, how to self-soothe. These are the things that I talk about. And I have a personal connection to this because this is what I also learned in my marriage counseling, what my emotional needs were. After years of doing this, I was surprised at how dumb I was to my own emotional needs and also how equally ignorant I was to the emotional needs of my wife. So what I learned not only changed my life, but after I learned it, I started seeing how it played out in those couples that were going the distance, those that had the pressures of the world, like, this couple and other ones that have been married much longer, 40, 50 years. Emotional needs mastery completely overhauled communication for not only myself, but apparently other couples as well. So that course is $19.97 right now. And some of y'all I've already seen in here are in this next one I'm going to talk about. Lastly, the Self-Crown VIP community. Now, this is my private mentorship community. This is where you can come and get me every single week, just like we're doing right now. You can get me every single week for an hour or sometimes even more to get your questions answered, to get a male perspective, to get encouragement from the community. Here we see one of the Self-Crown members, and this is a small community, by the way, only about 1,200 people. I did this because social media is so overrun. Millions of folks, I don't see most of the comments, and I purposely don't see most of the comments because, there's trolls and stuff like this. So this is a more tight-knit, private, intimate community, a safe place for people to come, not only get my perspective, but also get the perspective of others who can relate to some of the experiences that you're going to have. Now, what I love about Self-Crown is it's also a safe place for me to be able to tackle some things that are otherwise controversial. Like one of the things is I've seen this floating around. A man that has options don't want a woman that's over a certain weight that looks like X, Y, or Z, So in Self-Crown, we not only get to talk about these things, but I get to be as raw and unfiltered as I want to be to tackle some of this nonsense. But let me just real quick give you guys an example of something that we've already talked about. This right here on this slide is Gabrielle Sidibe. For those who don't know, she played in the famous movie Precious, right? According to her, she said that people have always tried to make her the definition of undesirable because of her weight, because of this, that, and the other, all of these different things. So, what I love about Gabrielle Sidibe, besides her spirit, besides her acting chops and how well she's done in every project that I've seen, is that she is a complete contradiction to the nonsensical notion that men who have options and are doing well for themselves and that will be valuable in your life don't want women like her, which represents so many women. Nothing wrong if it don't represent you, but it represents so many women. So this is her husband right here. And this is why I say, you know what? This is an evolved man because you tell the tree by its fruit. This is the fruit of an evolved man. She says, and I'm going to skip down a little bit. My best friend forever proposed, and now I get to hold him forever. The funniest man I've ever met. The sweetest human to exist. Brandon made up a song for when I put my bonnet on at night. The second I look a bit stressed and overwhelmed, he jumps into action to take over what he can do. Every moment with him is a joy. He is the partner I thought I was too independent to need. Notice that receptiveness. All right. I've learned so much about myself through him, and I feel grateful and excited to learn more about the entire world with him by my side, my partner, best friend. Y'all get the rest. That's fruit of an evolved man being in your life. And this is the exact type of woman that society says an evolved man, a valuable man, a man with options, and he's actually like a marketing executive, which is kind of beside the point. This is the exact type of woman that they say these men don't want. Not true. Not true. And we talk about these, we counter these things in the Self-Crown VIP community. Now, again, depending on which area you find the most value in, when I'm talking about my resources, whether it be the Keys to Self-Closure course, the Purposely Single course, the Emotional Needs Mastery program, or the Self-Crown VIP community, you can get any one of these from my website. Now, if you're like most people, you probably see some value, if not a ton of value, in every single one of these. However, that would run you over $5,500. And, you know, some of y'all balling, some of y'all got it. That ain't nothing. That's chump change. You like, give it to me. Blessings to you. But everybody ain't like that. And I'm a person that knows the worth of my work. I've seen the testimonials. I've seen the changed lives. I've gotten the emails thanking me for this lifesaver of resources that have helped people on the dating scene. But even I believe that's a bit much to come out of pocket for these amazing results. So what I've decided to do, I've decided to package all of this. For those who are watching this webinar right now, I've decided to package all of this for almost half the price of the cheapest course in this package, $597. Now, I know some of y'all are ready. You ready for the website? You ready to go get it right now? It's not on the DerrickJackson.com website because everybody already going to that one. So don't go to that one. That's going to be the regular price stuff. I've decided to take it a step further. Why? Because it's my birthday. It is my birthday month. It is my birthday month. Let me be very clear. I celebrate my birthday the whole month. Who said you got to celebrate it just one day? So I'm celebrating my birthday right here, right now. I mean, I'm kind of tripped out. Like my team was tripped out that I was going to do this. But for the next 150 people, the action takers, this entire Evolved in Love package is only $197. Literally valued over $5,500. The entire package, every course in a year of Self-Crown VIP access is only $197. Now, if you're a procrastinator, just prepare to see the $597 on the website. You'll get an email and all that other good stuff. But for the next 150 people, there's a ticker on the website. And whenever it gets to 150, the website is going to come down. The website is DerrickSpecialOffer.com. Okay, 2 S's at the Derrick, DerrickSpecialOffer.com. For the next 150 people who are watching right now, and I advise you to hurry up and go. There should be a link. My moderators, go ahead and put a button that says get access so the people can get access to it. For the next 150 people, $197. Now, that's because I'm feeling good. And yes, it is my birthday month. Your boy is turning 32. Actually, it's my birthday week. I ain't going to be too specific, but it's my birthday week. Now, I know, and I could already see some people going to the website and getting it right now. So you already know what I'm about to say. I know that's an incredible value, and it's going to end very quickly. Matter of fact, If you don't have the 197 as a one-time payment, you can actually do a payment plan. That's on the website as well. But the best thing about this, I'm taking it even further. And I'm going to throw in 2 bonus courses. I've been a business coach for the last 4 years because I've been full-time as an entrepreneur since 2016, done quite well for myself, sold hundreds of thousands of books, sold tens of thousands of tickets to speak publicly and all that other good stuff, right? So I've created 2 courses for those of you who also have thought about getting into entrepreneurship. Maybe you already are, or maybe you just have a story to tell. All right. I don't know everything about business, but I know how to self-publish a book and successfully sell it. So I put my keys to self-publishing a bestseller in a course, in an audio course. It's $497 on my website. It's going to be added into this package absolutely free. Only this package, not even when it goes back to regular price, this is not going to be added in. This is only for the $197 offer that's available right now at DerekSpecialOffer.com. Okay. The other bonus is my 10 secrets to launching an online business, in which I actually gave a few more bonuses because I just love over delivering. I just love over delivering, but that's on there as well. And when I talk about launching an online business, y'all, I'm not talking about something that you can do as a little side hustle. If you follow the steps that I put in there, you're going to experience true financial freedom from wherever you're at. Okay. And that's a guarantee of your money back. Hit me up. If you implement what I put in that course and you don't, in the next 6 months, experience financial freedom, be able to quit whatever your day-to-day job is, or be able to see a significant increase in your revenue of your business, hit me up, get your money back. Like, specifically call out that course. That's how much I believe in it. It's a $497 course on my website. But with this offer today, for those who are watching right now and that go to DerekSpecialOffer.com, it's $197. One-time payment, no recurring payment, lifetime access to every course mentioned. All right. And like, again, there's also a payment plan. If like for like $30 more, you can do $77 for the next 3 months. So if you don't even have the 197, look, I understand it's COVID, there's all kind of stuff going on, hard times for a lot of people, but you still know there's a ton of value in this for you and you want to get access, you can get access to. There is a payment plan. There wasn't a payment plan before. There is a payment plan. Go to DerekSpecialOffer.com. There's 2 S's after Derek, DerekSpecialOffer.com. When it gets to 150 people, I already see somebody say, how long is this going to last? I get paid tomorrow. I don't know time-wise how long it's going to last, but when it gets to 150 people, it's going to time out. So I highly, highly advise you to go ahead, get it now before it's over. Because once it's over, it's going to go, which is still a great price, $597 for all that I put into this, hours of content and a year access to Self-Crown VIP private community. I've never offered this before and never will offer it again. This is the best price this has ever been offered. $197 for the next 150 people. You have to hurry, guys. I don't want to hear emails coming in, people mad at me because they missed this offer and they thought it was a game. They thought I was just saying this. No, 150 people. I like to keep the Self-Crown community small, and I know the value of this work. I'm not going to give it away basically for free for everybody, but for those who are watching this, I wanted to make it just a no-brainer for you. I wanted to make it a no-brainer for you. So that's what I've done. Thank you guys for saying happy birthday to me. Thank you. It's my birthday, man. I'm feeling good. My birthday week. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. So again, DerekSpecialOffer.com. There should be a button that will allow you to get access down below. Moderators, make sure you got that nice, light, and bright so people can click it. And that's going to wrap this up. Now, normally I do a Q&A after, and I was going to do one on here. But not only did I give you guys an overabundance of stuff, I want to respect your time. I'm still celebrating my birthday. So what I'm going to do is this. For those who have questions, for those who are taking advantage of this offer right now, and I see some people already are, for those of you who are taking advantage of this offer, I will see you on the Self-Crown VIP live chat. And I'm going to get in depth with whatever question that you have. So go ahead in your notepad, because you should be taking notes. Go ahead and write down your question. Bring it to the Self-Crown VIP live chat. and I'm going to answer you live in our private community. Welcome to the Self Crown VIP family. Grateful to have you guys. And I'm super excited about the changes you guys are going to see as a result of these resources. Even if you didn't get it, the information I gave you, you can go and be successful at pulling an evolved man. But for those who are going to get the resources in order to thrive long term with an evolved man and meet his emotional needs and have him meeting yours over the long term, I'm super excited. Definitely hit my team up. Let us know how this is changing your life. It encourages me. It validates this stuff. You know, I've already got a ton of testimonials and positive results. I can never get enough. So again, Derek'sSpecialOffer.com is where you can get access if it hasn't already hit the limit. I don't know if it has. I say go ahead and check it out. And yeah, I will see the rest of you next time on the Self Crown VIP live chat. Those who got access and those who didn't, I'll see you on social media. I'll holler at y'all later. Y'all be good. Peace.